Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to do this hugged moon design named by Mimi, who's actually here in the studio with me. And we are going to be doing this simple design, which you can use any materials really to create. The 4mm beads along with 15 O's and 11 O's make this bracelet. Remember to check underneath the video for a description, which will give you links to get back to the site if you want to check out all the materials we have to make your own hugged moon bracelet. Gather up your supplies and let's get to it. All right, so this one's a really easy pattern. It's just right angle weave with a little bit of embellishment. And because it's not embellished everywhere, you just need to remember what you're doing. I have 4mm round Potomac crystals here, as well as 11O and 15O seed beads and a pretty Claspgarten clasp. In the sample piece, I just did all aqua with an 11O and 15Os along the side. I have some green size 8 dragon thread, and I actually have a big eye needle just because it was right here, so I figured I'd pick it up. The first thing we are going to do is pick up 4 of our 4mm beads, and we are going to make a right angle unit. If you've never done right angle before, don't worry. This is super simple. I'm keeping about a foot of tail left on my thread because I'm going to come back and add in my clasp. So right now I'm going to go back through beads number 1, 2, and 3 away from that 12-inch or 10-inch tail. Pull my thread and needle, and I'm going into my first right angle weave unit, which is going to be a grouping of 4. From here, I'm going to add another right angle unit. 1, 2, and 3 beads get added. My thread is currently coming out the bottom of that bead number 3. I've added 3 more beads, and we're going to go into the top of bead number 3 and bring our thread and needle down. Now that we have a second unit here, I want you to grab one 11O and go through your next 4mm bead, another 11O through the next 4mm bead, grabbing a third 11O, going through the next one, and then you guessed it, a 4th one as well. So every 2 units, basically, we will have a grouping of our 11O seed beads. I'm going to go back through what was the rightmost bead of that first right angle unit right now, bringing the thread and needle down. And then we're also going to go through that first 11O seed bead that we just added. That first 11O seed bead that we just added now, our thread is coming out, and what we're going to do is cap our crystal. And to cap the crystal, we're going to be using 6 of our 15O seed beads. I'm using the silver line gold here just for a little bit of a bright look. Going into, on the opposite side of the right angle weave, the 4mm with the 11s on both sides. So we're sewing through the 11, through the 4, and out through the 11 on the top. See how that just captures it and nestles it in really nicely. Coming out the 11 on the top, we're going to repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of our 15O seed beads. And then we're going to come down through the first 11O and the 4mm bead. Bringing our thread and needle down there, that creates our second little cap. From here, we are going to go through the 4mm bead at the bottom. We are going to go through, get that tail out of there. That tail is going to want to hang out there. Go through the 4mm bead on the right-hand side. And if I wasn't using a big eye needle, I would just use a size 10 needle. I might even switch to it. And now I'm going to do a right angle unit without any seed beads going in after it. I have 1, 2, and 3 more of my 4mm beads. I'm currently coming out of the top of that bead on the right-hand side. I'm going to go into the bottom of that bead on the right-hand side, making that into a full circle or into that right angle unit square there. Go through the bead at the top. And always in right angle weave, you want to come out through the rightmost side. Once I'm through that rightmost side now, I start over. So again, I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3 beads. Currently coming out of the bottom of the rightmost bead, I'm going to go into the top, bring my thread and needle down, and then when I'm there, here's where I add in those 11O seed beads. 1 11O in each one of the corners, adding an 11 and sewing through the 4mm round that is already there. So you're going to end up with 4 of your 11s. Once you get back then to the first bead that your thread was coming out of, that first 4 millimeter round, you're going to go through the 4 millimeter round, and then at the same time, if you can, go through the 11O seed bead. You can see mine didn't catch right away. That's okay. I can go back right now and go through just the 11O. Once again, now that we're here, it's time to top our beads, or top and bottom, I guess, our beads with our 6 15O seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 seed beads up through the right hand side. 11, 4, 11. Back to the top again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. 6 15-Os go on and down through the 11 and the 4 millimeter bead on the left. To continue to build them, I'm going back into the bottom 4, skipping over any seed beads. I'm not going through any seed beads there. Right over to the 4, right over to the right hand side. So my thread and needle are coming out the right hand side of that right angle weave unit, and then I just start over. What that does is it allows this to sit perfectly placed. Also, it allows this curvature. It makes a beautiful necklace. Even though we're doing a bracelet here, this makes an absolutely gorgeous necklace and can bend really, really easily since we're only capping every other right angle unit. Continue going in and creating and adding to that right angle weave. Once you're finished with the design and getting it exactly the way that you want to, and keep in mind, you can do this with other sizes as well too. We're going to put on the clasp. Now, I've already done the other side of the bracelet and put on the clasp here as well. And I've gone back then and flipped over and put the big eye needle on the secondary end, or that starter end. What we're going to do is mimic what I did on this side using 1 11-0, then 3 15s followed by an 11. So we have 1 11, 3 15s, 1 and 11, and we're going to go through the loop of the clasp. We're going to come back down through that same 11-0, going back towards our bracelet. Again, this is beautiful for a necklace as well too. 3 more of our 15s get added and 1 more 11-0. Go to the opposite side of the bead your thread is currently coming out of that 4 millimeter round. And this can be done with gemstones. This can be done with pearls, anything really. Go in then and we're going to reinforce. To reinforce, you want to get at least 2 to 3 strands of thread through your clasp. I could have used a wire guard if I want to, but it's so minimal here with my green thread, which fades really nicely into gold. Going through here and up through the design, coming back down through that same 11-0, going down through the opposite side here, going back through the 4 millimeter bead, and continuing to do that one more time. After you do that one more time, you're going to sew back into the project here. And I like to go back a full right angle weave section here. So I'm going back into the design here. And I want to tie off my thread somewhere that's pretty inconspicuous. So I'm going underneath a bridge thread here, which a bridge thread is any thread that connects one bead to the other. And I'm not sewing through or adding any beads here. I'm just going underneath that thread. I make a little loop underneath that thread and sew through that loop once, sew through that loop twice. Give a nice tight pull, and that pulls that sewer's knot really close into the design so you don't see it. And then we are going to feed our thread and needle away from that knot. I like to do it in 2 different spots, that knot, so you don't see any extra thread showing. And then from here, once you take it back exactly where you want it to go, what you're going to do is just burn down on that thread edge. So I'm going to take this here, grab my thread burner, heat up the end of my thread burner, burn through the thread, and then take that and burn that down. One thing to keep in mind, if your clasp does have a front and a back, is to make sure that as you bring the bracelet together, that there's no twisting or turning of the bracelet. You can see how pretty this clasp is in conjunction with the design and that beautiful gold design there with our pretty crystals. Whether or not you're doing this, again, as a beautiful necklace or a bracelet, or even just taking one out and doing it as a pair of earrings, super simple, quick design that can be done with any beads. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this Hugged Moon bracelet and beautiful necklace design. It really is a simple way to embellish right angle weave, keep it tight for those of you that are beginning, and make it quickly and efficiently with any materials. Remember, if you do want to check out all of our supplies, go ahead below the video in the description, and you can get links there back to our website to check out everything that you can use in 4mm round. As always, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.